All right. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. I cannot believe it is one of our last lessons together for the year. It is so exciting that you are moving to fifth grade, and it's been a crazy year. Let's be honest. It's a year we will all never, ever forget. But it is something that you guys have worked very hard for and deserve a lot of credit for. One thing that I think I am unfortunate. I'm disappointed we haven't got to talk about as a group in the class because, we tried a little bit at the class meeting, but it's hard. It's hard to talk about these things when you're not face to face. But we've really been talking about uh, anti racism work. We've talked about our identity, we've talked about diversity, we've talked about racism and what it is and why it's not okay. And now we're going to talk about something called activism. And activism is something that you can all be a part of. You can all do in your own way. And it's something that even as a grown up, I'm still working on, I'm still figuring out and trying on myself. But what is important is if you are an activist, you stand up for what you believe in. So today what we're going to do is we're going to talk a little bit about activism. We're going to watch a video about some amazing children activists. And then, if you would like, we're going to make some activism signs because many of you may be aware that there have been a lot of marches and protests recently. And one of the coolest things about those is the signs people make to help others understand what's the point, what's the purpose, why are they marching, why are they doing this, why are they walking down the street. So let's get started with our lesson before our video is a little long. So let's get started with our lesson. I'm going to move my screen. I'm going to make it a little smaller and move it up here so that it's not blocking everything. So today I chose a quote from a young woman. She is in her 20s now, but when she first became an activist, gosh, she was maybe, I think 11 or 12, if I remember right. Her quote says, "One child, one teacher, one book, and one pen can change the world." In Spanish, un niño, un maestro, un libro y un bolígrafo pueden cambiar el mundo. Malala Yousafzai. For a long time, when I would teach about biographies in fourth grade, Malala Yousafzai's biography is one that I would read because she is a very inspirational young woman. You'll learn about a little bit about her in a second. So our learning target today. Today we are learning what activism is. I will know I have learned it when I study current activists and create art to take part in activism myself. So, two important vocabulary terms we want to know today: activism, and right here, I included when you see things like this, it's really cool because it helps you understand how to pronounce these words because sometimes in the English language, words are pronounced not how we would expect. So, activism. Vigorous action or involvement as a way to achieve political or other goals, sometimes by demonstrations or protests. Activism is showing, is stepping up, is disrupting a system. Things may seem perfect, seem like, well, that's how they go, but that doesn't make them right. And activism can often be disrupting those systems and making people know, hey, it should be this way instead. And an activist is and once again, it's got this awesome little highlighted, activist is a person who is involved in supporting a cause, especially a political cause. There are a lot of causes in this world that people are activists of. Right now, the Black Lives Matter movement is a very popular one. But there are so many others throughout this world and throughout this country that people work towards every day. The important thing to remember about activism is it's not just doing things when it's cool and everybody's marching for them. It's continuously speaking out and continuously helping people see what's right. Now, activist and activism. I'm not going to say these are simple terms. These are, even as an adult, I'm trying to figure out exactly what they are. But I found a video that has now, this is their opinion of the top 10 activists. This does not mean there are no other activists. It's just a clip of some activists. It's a little bit of a long video, so some parts I might fast forward through so that we can get through, but it just talks about some different activists in the United States. And I chose it because it talks about children and kids who are activists. Activism to a lot of people thinks, oh, you have to be an adult. No, you can be a kid to stand up for what and still stand up for what you believe in. Let's watch the video. Let's see if it'll work for me. There we go. I am going to move my screen down here, but I still want my screen on because I am going to be doing a little bit of fast forwarding and such.
Just because you're not old enough to vote doesn't mean you're not old enough to change the world. Welcome to Watch Mojo, and today we're counting down our picks for the top 10 youngest and most influential activists.
Some people call me the girl who was shot.
Sorry, guys. Sorry, I'm trying to make it so it works. I'm messing it up.
Taliban. And some, the girl who fought for her rights.
For this list, we're looking at people who became prominent activists at a young age in the 21st century. Number 10, Payal Jangid.
क्योंकि आप कोई भी नहीं चाहेगा कि एक लड़की किसी कारणवश शिक्षा से पीछे रहे.
Payal Jangid was only 11 when she learned that her parents had arranged for her to be married. Jangid's sister was locked into an arranged marriage as well. With support from the Bal Ashram Trust, a center associated with the Save the Childhood movement, Jangid protested the marriage, and her parents ultimately accepted her wishes. Jangid has continued to fight against child marriage while also advocating for education and campaigning to end child labor. She went on to become the president of Bal Panchayat, the children's parliament in her home village of Hinsla in Rajasthan, India. Thanks to Jangid's outspoken efforts, child marriage is now outlawed there. At age 17, Jangid became the first Indian to receive the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation's Changemaker Award. Number 9. Marley Dias.
In my 5th grade class, I wasn't seeing Black girl stories being reflected, and it wasn't something that we were told, but I could see that story in my home and in the books that my parents gave me.
In an age where social media has given everyone a far-reaching voice, change can sometimes be a hashtag away. Few people are as passionate about reading as Marley Dias, but she couldn't help but notice that most of the novels in her school curriculum revolved around white boys and their dogs.
I thought it was... Basically, I read that story in school, and as much as I really respected my teacher, and I thought that it was a good idea to continue to have us read and be in discussions, we were only learning about one person's experience.
With the support of her mother, the 6th grader launched the 1,000 Black Girl Books campaign in November 2015. Although Dias's goal was to collect 1,000 books featuring Black girls, over 9,000 books were donated within just a few months. Dias isn't just an avid reader, but also an author. Publishing her book, Marley Dias Gets It Done and So Can You, in 2018. That same year, she became the youngest person on Forbes' 30 Under 30. Number 8, Jazz Jennings.
For this video, I wanted to talk about my upcoming gender confirmation surgery.
Assigned male at birth, Jazz Jennings was diagnosed with gender dysphoria when she was 3. Although her parents initially had her wear gender-neutral outfits in public, it quickly became clear she was unhappy. Jennings' 5th birthday party marked a new beginning for the family, where she came out to her friends as a girl. In 2007, at the age of 6, she was interviewed by Barbara Walters.
Tell me about this picture. Why is the little girl crying?
Because she wants to wear the dress to school.
That same year, the Jennings family founded the Trans Kids Purple Rainbow Foundation by launching the company Purple Rainbow Tales, which raises funds for transgender youth. She continues to inspire and break down barriers on her YouTube channel and her TLC series, I Am Jazz.
We're on the eve of Jazz having her major surgery, and it's really just a moment in time that we're really never going to recapture.
Number 7, Ahed Tamimi.
Ahed Tamimi, a young Palestinian.
Now, as this is being shared, friends, I want to part of why I wanted to speak is to let you know the specific video, she is being violent, and I do not encourage that. She is an activist, but I do encourage you to be safe when you're being an activist.
Tamimi approached two armed soldiers outside her family home, kicking and slapping them with her mother and another cousin. Footage of the altercation was shared on social media, and Tamimi, her mother, and Noor faced assault charges. Tamimi agreed to an 8-month plea bargain, completing her high school education in prison. Her actions sparked an international debate. Following her release in July 2018, she resolved to fight for human rights by pursuing a law degree.
عن جد الإشي عن جد إنه بشرفني إنه أكون رمز فلسطيني أقدر أساعد شعبي وأوصل القضية الفلسطينية.
Number 6. Bana Alabed.
The world is watching. The world doesn't do anything.
Shortly after creating her Twitter account at 7, Bana Alabed had accumulated over 300,000 followers. Alabed and her mother, who manages her account, used Twitter as a platform to share their experiences when Aleppo, Syria was under siege. Alabed's account gained attention worldwide. J.K. Rowling sent her a Harry Potter ebook when Alabed couldn't find a copy. Due to the war, Alabed not only lost her school and her home, but her best friend as well. In December 2016, her family relocated to Turkey. Bana and Fatima have since made the leap from tweeting to writing a book titled Dear World. They've continued to protest the war through televised interviews, and in 2018, Bana was given the Asian Awards Rising Star Award.
This award is for all the children who live in war.
Number 5. Jamie Margolin.
It's as if there's a ticking time bomb that needs to be stopped, and there's not a very high chance of us stopping it, but we have to stop it, or at least try, because otherwise it's going to blow up in our faces and destroy everything.
At age 15, Jamie Margolin co-founded the Zero Hour, an organization dedicated to youth activism on climate change. She was prompted to do so by the disastrous effects of Hurricane Maria on Puerto Rico and the smoke drifting into Seattle from the Canadian wildfires. Her organization gained traction through the This Is Zero Hour campaign. But Margolin's efforts have stretched far beyond social media. In 2019, she spoke to the U.S. House of Representatives as part of the panel Voices Leading the Next Generation on the Global Climate Crisis.
It's very devastating and scary, but it feels like we've been betrayed.
Margolin has been recognized with the Gloria Barron Prize for Young Heroes and an MTV EMA Generation Change Award. She's also part of a group suing the state of Washington for greenhouse gas emissions.
And it is our responsibility to speak truth to power, call out these systems of oppression, and demand the livable earth that we all deserve.
Number 4. Amariana Kopany, also known as Little Miss Flint.
My name is Mari Kopany. I'm 10 years old. I live in Flint, Michigan, and you may know me as Little Miss Flint.
While most 8-year-olds only write letters to Santa, Amariana Mari Kopany took it upon herself to send a letter to President Barack Obama. The message in question regarded the Flint water crisis, which has been a threat to her hometown's health since 2014. Obama responded, writing, quote, "Letters from kids like you are what make me so optimistic about the future." What's more, the letter prompted him to visit Flint, after which he signed off on $100 million to help repair the city's water system. Kopany, or Little Miss Flint as she's become known, has since partnered with the nonprofit organization Pack Your Back to raise money for school supplies and bottled water. She's also become an advocate for education and representation.
I want to speak up and say, hey, the water's bad. Can someone please fix it? But they never did fix it. So I said, well, gotta listen to me because I'm a kid.
Number 3. The Parkland students.
We have been fighting. We've been fighting since Columbine, since Sandy Hook, since Pulse.
In February 2018, Marjorie Stoneman Douglas High School in Parkland found itself at the center of a tragedy when a gunman killed 17 people. In response to the country's deadliest high school shooting ever, Parkland students formed the committee Never Again MSD, calling for legislative action on gun violence. In March, their efforts led to March for Our Lives, a nationwide demonstration to support gun reform. At the march, survivor Emma Gonzalez delivered a passionate speech that lasted 6 minutes, the length of the shooting.
In a little over 6 minutes, 17 of our friends were taken from us, 15 were injured, and everyone, absolutely everyone, in the Douglas community was forever altered.
Together with survivor David Hogg, her stance on gun reform has made them targets of far-right attacks, with some accusing them of being crisis actors. However, with other Parkland students, they continue to fight for reform. Number 2, Greta Thunberg.
You all come to us young people for hope.
How dare you? You have stolen my dreams and my childhood with your empty words. And yet, I'm one of the lucky ones.
Can one person make a difference? Thunberg's solo protest outside Swedish parliament at the age of 15 has become a global movement. Her inspiration was actually the Parkland students in our number 3 entry. Thunberg's school strike for the climate quickly influenced other students around the world to get involved, sparking what some have called the Greta effect. She's given numerous speeches on the subject, even speaking to US Congress.
This is not political opinions, political views, or my opinions. This is the science.
In 2019, Thunberg was nominated for a Nobel Peace Prize and became Time's youngest person of the year at age 16. Not everyone agrees with Thunberg's views, most notably President Donald Trump. Regardless, it'll take more than a tweet about her quote-unquote anger management to stop Thunberg in her tracks. Before we unveil our number 1 pick, here are some honorable mentions.
These walls that separate these different movements and this different work begin to fall away. And we realize that it's not just about activists and politicians and people that work at the UN, but this is about entrepreneurs and visionaries, and artists, designers, teachers, parents.
I also dream of a day where not a single girl on earth will miss out on an education or a childhood just because she was born with a uterus.
And at the time, I was, in 6th grade, and so I thought, climate change seemed like such a big issue, and that the only reason that people weren't doing anything about it was because they must not have known about it.
I have faith that you, as parents and as humans, make the best decision. Thank you for listening to the voice of all immigrants.
Before we continue...
All right, this is the part I'm going to fast forward a little bit because they want us to download their stuff on their website. But
quality education.
This Pakistani activist has become a beacon for the rights of women and human rights in general. At 11, Malala Yousafzai began anonymously writing a blog about life under the Taliban for BBC Urdu. Her identity was soon revealed, though, establishing her as an activist for female education and equality. Despite death threats from the Taliban, she continued to speak out. In October 2012, a Taliban gunman shot her as she rode a bus home from an exam. She miraculously survived and has since become a household name globally. There was something of an outcry when Yousafzai didn't win the Nobel Peace Prize in 2013, although she'd become a co-recipient in 2014.
I'm very proud to be the first Pashtun, the first Pakistani, and the youngest person to receive this award.
She remains an inspirational icon, helping to open eyes and minds around the world. Do you agree with our picks?
All right, my friends. So let me just click out of this part. So all of those people were young people doing their best at being activists to make a difference. Some of them, it drew a lot of criticism. Not everybody sits and says, great job. That's a great idea. Some people were really negative about it. But the important thing is they stood for what they believe in, whether it was equal rights, a stop to gun violence, the ability for females to go to school, whether it equal marriage, so many different things. But the important thing is they worked hard and just disrupted the system. They didn't just accept things as they were because they figured, oh, that's okay. They wanted to make change. And even though they were kids, and I say even though, because I think sometimes you think you can't do a whole lot as a kid, but you can do so much. So just for the end, for kind of a fun, an activity for us that I think could be really powerful is I'm going to encourage you guys to make activism signs. If any of you have seen some recent marches or protests, many people will have signs that they hold. And one thing that's important about the signs is you want the sign, a sign you're going to hold during a march or a protest to mean something. You can see I have a few here that I've put. Immigrants make America great. Black Lives Matter. Love is love. Something that is important that gets your point across. These signs people make you notice they don't have a lot of words. They're clear. They state your demands. I call for climate change. Or I call for, us environmental changes. Black Lives Matter. That's a very straightforward one. Love is love. Anyone should be allowed to marry who they love. The point is their signs are clear and state what they want to state. And they can be seen from far away. Some of them you can use different colors. This Immigrants Make America Great, they used red, white, and blue to really, I think, emphasize that immigrants are America. They are just as much part of as anyone else. Love is love. They chose to do it in colors of rainbows because that's so much to show that everyone is accepted. Everyone deserves to love who they want to love. And for example, these Black Lives Matters ones, straightforward, black and white, get your point across. I want to encourage you guys to make a sign that is important for something you feel is important, something you feel that you would like to be an activist about. I'm not going to tell you what to be an activist about. You might have something that's important to you. The other day, I went to the White Center march and protest on Wednesday, and I made a sign. And the cool thing is I didn't, I just went and got a piece of cardboard and I made it simple on this side. And this one I wrote a little bit more. I chose to write a quote, but it was clear. It stated what I wanted people to know I was marching for. It's something that if you were marching down the street holding this, you could see. Now, if you don't have cardboard, you can use paper, you can use colored pencils, you can use the back of a cereal box, you can use a piece of cardboard, whatever you want. But what I want to just encourage you guys to do is think about something you feel strongly about and make an activism sign about it. Make a sign that if you could go and march right now for that kind of, for that thing you feel very strongly about, you would be able to take this sign and do it. And I really want you to think of something, whether, we're really learning about diversity and ending racism and ending, these crazy things that are happening in our world where people are not treated equally. So really think on that, reflect on that, and show me your sign. And I will say, if a sign is not something you want to make, I totally respect that. If you want to make a poem, if you want to just make a drawing, anything that comes into your heart when you're thinking about activism, share it with us. I'd love to see. Thank you, and I look forward to seeing your projects.